All right, so ex Nihilo's Blue Talisman. I've been seeing a lot of inspirations popping up of that fragrance lately, and just overall, it seems like it has been a slight sort of buzz, when it comes to that fragrance. And so, what I have here is a inspiration from Athoor Al Alam, which is basically it's like a line under Fragrance World, and this is their take on the fragrance, and this is Taj 2 from Athoor Al Alam. All right, so you can see here the box. It opens like this on the front. All right, and then you see the full presentation of the bottle there. But other than that, the bottle actually acts as kind of like the, I guess you could say the front label of the box as well. So you've got the name of the fragrance here, and then you've got the Athoor Al Alam logo. Up top, you don't have anything, and you've got nothing on either side, nothing on the bottom. And then on the back, you've got the authenticity sticker, the ingredients, barcode, stuff like that. All right. So again, this is going to open up like that. So pretty decent presentation. And then the bottle fits in here really, really snug. So once you get the bottle secured in here, it's really not going anywhere. And then, the bottle is definitely, it's a very nice looking bottle for sure, especially, for this price point. I believe I picked this one up from fragrancebuy.ca for, I don't think it was more than like $35. It was between like 30 and 35, I believe. And again, as you can see here, you've got the Athoor Al Alam logo here. You get that on both the front and the back of the cap. Taj is written here, and you've kind of got like this blue stained glass, and you've kind of got like this sort of textured glass here on the back as well. That's not like a sticker or a plaque. Overall, this is a very nice design for, again, this price point. The cap is definitely pretty light and cheap feeling. And then in terms of the sprayer is actually a pretty decent sprayer. All right, not pressurized or anything like that, but it feels good. And then at the bottom here, you've got the Athoor Al Alam sticker. All right, now I was pretty excited, when I saw this, just kind of scrolling on fragrancebuy.ca, saw, this was a twist on Blue Talisman. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and pick that up, because I had never smelled Blue Talisman, but I was definitely, curious to kind of get into some of these ex Nihilo fragrances, especially this one, Blue Talisman, but also the Hedonist, which I also have a sample of as well. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't any sort of inspired fragrance of this out yet, but I just went ahead and picked this one up when I was getting the Blue Talisman sample, because I also wanted to smell this one as well. All right. So if you're not familiar with the note breakdown of Blue Talisman, we'll go ahead and go over that right now. So the note breakdown on this, in the top notes, you're going to get pear, bergamot, and mandarin orange and ginger. And then in the mid, you get orange blossom, Georgie wood. And then in the base, you have ambrofix, musk, akigala wood, and cedar. All right. So let's go ahead and see how this compares here, because the notes on Taj 2 are actually different here. Now, from what I'm showing for the notes for Taj 2, you have in the top pineapple and cardamom. In the mid, you have incense, vanilla bean, and sage. And then in the base, you have patchouli, sandalwood, and tonka bean. All right. So a much different note breakdown for sure. Now, from what I understand, at least two of the notes that are in Blue Talisman are more sort of kind of like proprietary sort of, chemicals. Specifically, I believe the ambrofix as well as the akigala wood note. I believe those notes or those sort of ingredients are only available to like certain sort of perfumers. So that would definitely make sense as to why this fragrance would have different notes. And it also makes sense as to why there are definitely some differences, in terms of smell between the two fragrances. So let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to spray both fragrances on here. So I have Taj 2 over here, and then I've got Blue Talisman over here. All right. And so when you first spray these on, with Blue Talisman, you get like this really, really smooth, juicy, fruity, and almost kind of, in my opinion, watery sort of feel from, the fruits in this fragrance. So definitely in Blue Talisman, you smell the pear, you smell the bergamot, you smell that mandarin orange. And I mean, the ginger is it's not like super fizzy, super spicy in Blue Talisman. Now in the Taj 2, even though you're getting notes like pineapple and cardamom, I believe, as the top notes, it doesn't really, to me, smell like pineapple. It does smell pretty similar to, the fruity notes in Blue Talisman. And I think probably the reason why they kind of went with, pineapple and cardamom for the top notes is I could see how those two notes maybe blended into like an accord could definitely sort of replicate, the sort of smell that you get from Blue Talisman. Now, what I will say is on skin, the two fragrances, they are pretty far apart. And really, I would say it's all throughout the entire fragrance, but especially in the opening. All right. So in the opening, to me, Blue Talisman just it comes off as the much more sort of higher quality, better smelling fragrance. And I'm actually going to spray these on my hand here. But that's what I kind of remembered from these two. Now you're going to get much more of an alcohol blast from Taj 2 than you're going to get with Blue Talisman. And I mean, I feel like that's to be expected, especially at this price point, but also considering the fact that this is a lower tier sort of, line within fragrance world. So anything that you get from Athoor Al Alam, it is going to be on the lower end in terms of like oil quality and the materials. It's definitely not going to be up there on the level of just the base fragrance world, and definitely not up on the level of something like French Avenue. But yeah, the thing that I get when comparing the two fragrances is the Blue Talisman just smells a lot more expensive. It smells richer. The fruits, to me, they do definitely smell a lot more natural smelling than what they do in Taj 2. And overall, I just feel like all throughout the entire fragrance of Taj 2, you kind of get like this underlying sort of muskiness that, it really kind of overtakes everything else within the fragrance. And I mean, you do kind of get like a slight sort of musky feel to Blue Talisman as well, but it's definitely not as heavy as what it is in the Taj 2. Now, what I can say is, this has gotten a little bit better, since like the first day that I got it. Especially since the first time that I actually compared it to Blue Talisman. The first time that I compared the two, I was like, oh yeah, this is like, there's a really, really large gap. I do think that there is still a pretty large gap, in terms of quality, but this does seem to be getting a little bit better in terms of, the quality of the smell and how close it comes. But just overall, the feel of Blue Talisman is just, again, a lot more sort of higher quality. The ingredients, they do smell more natural to me than what they do in Taj 2. And I mean, just overall, if you compare this side by side with Blue Talisman, you will notice that this is definitely the cheaper smelling fragrance for sure. All right. Now, I do think that in the dry down, that's where the two fragrances, they do become the closest. So once you start to get to, kind of like the more woodier part of the fragrance in the dry down, where you're getting like that cedar, you're getting the musk. To me, I would say this comes about maybe 85% close to, the original fragrance within the dry down anyway. But definitely all throughout the rest of the fragrance, it is, considerably less than that, when it comes to the closeness. So, I mean, this, to me, the florals, especially like the sort of orange blossom feel that you get from Blue Talisman, that's a huge part of the fragrance as well. And I feel like it's not replicated as good in Taj 2. All right. So, I mean, overall, I do think that this is a good sort of, introduction into the scent profile, but it's not the best, sort of interpretation that I think that you could probably find out there. Now, I do know that Alexandria Fragrances has their version of this fragrance as well. I'm not sure exactly what theirs is called, but I would be willing to bet that Alexandria's is, probably way closer to the original Blue Talisman than what this Taj 2 is. Maybe it's not 100%, or it could be, as close to Blue Talisman as what Black Panther is to, Tiger. I'm not sure. But I feel like with this type of scent profile, this is probably the type of scent profile that Alexandria would be able to really nail and really get down. So if I'm going to kind of go over the performance of the fragrance, this fragrance right now, I'm getting anywhere from about 6 to 7 hours or so of total longevity. So definitely not a terrible performing fragrance. I feel like this does project pretty decently for like the first hour and a half to 2 hours or so. You can absolutely smell this on you for sure. And it's, I mean, I do really like the fruitiness of this, but this also comes off, and I believe it's from like the incense note that they use in this fragrance. It does come off as sort of like slightly sort of bitter and almost kind of smoky once it starts to kind of dry down. Whereas with Blue Talisman, you're not getting that exact same feel. To me, you're getting more of sort of like this light, airy, sort of floral and musky sort of, feel from the fragrance. Along with, again, those sort of fruity notes in the woods. So, yeah, man, this does definitely perform pretty decently, but Blue Talisman does perform on my skin better. So I definitely get well over, 8 to 9 hours with the Blue Talisman on my skin. Whereas, again, like I said, this one is going to be more kind of like around that 6 to 7 hour mark with, again, pretty good projection for like the first hour and a half or so. Now, as far as the sillage goes, the sillage is also going to be better on the Blue Talisman. That to me, just definitely, it hangs in the air a little bit more than what the Taj 2 does. Like I said, with this one just being just the kind of more cheaper smelling fragrance, it doesn't do as good, as far as the sillage goes. Now, in terms of like an overall sort of closeness rating on this fragrance, I think that overall this is going to be more kind of like around 75 to 80% maximum, I would say, to Blue Talisman. All right. So, I mean, it's not like the worst interpretation that, you could probably find out there. Or maybe it possibly is. I don't know. But it's not like super far off. That's what I'll say. It's just there is a noticeable quality difference between this and the original. And I mean, overall, the overall sort of texture and feel of the fragrance, I think, is slightly different. But I think I can't really dock this one too much because, at least from what I can see, and from what I know anyway, some of these ingredients within the original fragrance are more kind of like proprietary sort of ingredients. So I don't necessarily expect anyone trying to replicate, this scent profile to, get it down 100% for that reason. All right. Now, also, if I'm going to give this one a overall, sort of rating, just in terms of my overall likeness, to this fragrance, I would say just overall rating on this one, I would give this a solid 7 out of 10. All right. So again, not the worst fragrance that I've smelled, but definitely I think if you want to get into this scent profile and you just don't have the money to ever be able to afford a $300+ bottle of Blue Talisman, then what I would say, what you might want to do is just pick this up and don't worry about trying to smell the original fragrance, because I think once you smell the original fragrance and you smell the the extra sort of quality that you get from Blue Talisman, and you smell it side by side with this, I do think that you're gonna start to be disappointed in how this fragrance smells. I did actually like this one quite a bit until I actually got the sample in of Blue Talisman, and then as soon as I smelled this, I was like, yeah, Blue Talisman blows this one out of the water. So that's what I would say. You might want to beware of is, hey, if you're gonna get this, then get this, stick with it, be happy with it, and let that be it. But if you are familiar with Blue Talisman, and you're maybe looking for like a good alternative to it that's super close, then I think you're probably going to be disappointed with the way that this fragrance smells. Now, the other sort of gripe that I have on this is, okay, Fragrance World has released this scent profile first under the Athoor Al Alam line. I'm guessing, and I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing more than likely what they're going to end up doing is maybe, I don't know, 6 months from now, a year from now, they're probably going to release another version of this under the French Avenue line, and it's going to smell way better than this, and it's going to be a lot closer in terms of, quality and just overall sort of feel to the original fragrance. And obviously it's going to be more expensive than this. So, I think if you're looking for a good, sort of Middle Eastern alternative to Blue Talisman, then I think maybe you might want to wait and see if French Avenue comes out, with a version of this scent profile, later on. I kind of hate that, they do stuff like that, because it's like, that this is a really popular scent profile. You're releasing it under a line that kind of has inferior sort of quality, only to then kind of recycle that scent profile and push it out in a more expensive, higher end line. When some of these people that are probably going to be interested in that have already bought this. So, it is what it is. I think, if you have to have this scent profile right now, or you want to get into it right now, then, hey, go ahead, by all means, pick this one up. But, again, I do think that you should probably wait and see if they come out with, a French Avenue version of this scent profile, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a lot better, than what this is. All right. But overall, man, that is my take on this fragrance. This is a very good fragrance to wear in my opinion, in the spring and the summer. So definitely when it is kind of like warmer weather, I don't really look at this as being like a fall time fragrance. I mean, I think maybe in early fall, you could probably, get away with wearing this and it would still have enough power to kind of project and, have other people smell you. But this is definitely, to me anyway, not like a wintertime, more like an all year round type of fragrance, at least to me anyway. Definitely not the original fragrance for sure. To me, this is definitely more so for warmer weather. This one, to me, because it has the sort of incense, that incensey type of feel to the fragrance, it does kind of lend itself to, to kind of be worn in, maybe some other times of the year where maybe you wouldn't wear the original. But like I said, that would more kind of just be spring, summer, and then early fall. All right. So that's my take on Taj 2 versus the Blue Talisman. Let me know in the comments if you all have actually smelled Taj 2, and if so, have you all smelled Blue Talisman? And what do you all think of my assessment of this fragrance compared to Blue Talisman? All right. So let me know in the comments. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And I will have links in the description to where you can pick this one up. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.